So you're 22.
22, yeah.
And you are on Rolling Stone's 10 country artists to look out for in spring.
Yeah.
And then you're on tour with Tim McGraw right now.
I am, yeah.
And so you're basically killing it. What has the past year been like for you?
I'm busy. I mean, everything's jumped up a whole other level. I mean, my first single went top 10. My next single that's out right now is climbing up the charts. I think we're currently in the 40s, and been on tour with Tim. We toured with Brantley. We toured with Lee Brice at our first headlining tour, the Take It On Back tour. So it's been a crazy year. I mean, everything for us has just been a big leap and a jump and kind of a skip of faith too. So we've all been working our butts off to get to this point and still climbing. So it's just been a fun year.
And you grew up in a small town in Texas. So what do you think is the difference between mainstream country sound and the old classic country sound?
Well, I think what's funny is if you would have asked that question 50 years ago, there would have been a different answer too. Because I mean, if you look back at guys like Waylon Jennings was like really rock and roll influenced, you know, and so country is that one genre that evolves from generation to generation, and I think it's just evolved from where it was back when. I think the one thing is people sometimes give guys crap for singing about a truck or singing about mud, but if you look back, country has been about that since when cars were around, So I think it's just evolved in a massive step, and but it's I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, we are too.
Yeah.
So you just performed at CMA Fest.
Yeah.
Was there a standout moment for you at the festival?
Well, we played the Hall of Fame. I did like an acoustic, kind of broken down, just me with an acoustic guitar, full of room full of people, and in a theater type vibe, and that was just fun for me to kind of do something a little different than what was going on at CMA Fest and just break it down to what I was doing and how I wrote the song and how I did those things. So, thankfully, we got to stay a little bit out of the heat, but we had to jet that night. As a matter of fact, like the beginning of the festival, to be back out with Tim. So I didn't get to play too much, but that was a fun show for me.
Do you prefer festivals or regular concerts?
Regular concerts, yeah.
Really?
But festivals are really fun though too. I mean, they're both. I guess it kind of depends like what day of the week is it. If it's like a weekend. Festivals are awesome, because I mean there's so many people out and they camp and they, they're there. There's not going to be a couple more people there when Tim McGraw. I mean they're there all day long, so it's fun.
I'm sure you've gotten this question a lot, but I read something that kind of caught my attention. You play the guitar with your right hand and you're left-handed, and you play it upside down.
Yeah, I'm actually right-handed, but I play left-handed. It's so confusing. It's so confusing. It's not your fault. It's a right-handed guitar that I play left-handed. Okay. So I flip the guitar, so you should play this way, but I flip the guitar over to play it this way. So high strings are on top, low strings are on bottom.
Why did you decide to
Because I couldn't ever listen to anybody trying to buy me a left-handed guitar. I just skipped out there and did something that nobody was trying to do at the moment,
Yeah, well, it's different. It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
I saw in one of your Instagrams recently that you were wearing a Texas Rangers hat.
Yeah.
Sports are kind of big in Texas.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite?
I'm a huge Astros and Rangers fan. I mean, Astros are kind of more my team, but of course I have to have a Rangers hat in there as well. I mean, I'm very supportive. Cowboys fan, of course. Dallas Mavericks and those guys.
No Texans, no Houston.
I'm a fan of the Houston Texans too. I mean, who couldn't be? So I'm just glad they got a team again after the Oilers.
You released your EP back in September, and then your new single, Little Bit of You, in March.
Right.
And then. So, all right. And so, are you working on anything right now?
Well, we're just finishing up the record, making sure we can get a record out this year. And, otherwise it's just been touring a lot. I mean, my new single has been great, and I'm glad we're kind of moving off to another point where people can start putting more songs in my name. But, of course, for me right now, it's just finishing up a record and getting all that stuff dialed in. So we'll see what happens. We'll see where the year goes. So.
Okay. Well, we're excited about it. Everybody
thank you very much.
A fan of you. One last question. So I've read that lyrics are really important to you, and you love writing. So what is your most favorite word, and what is your least favorite word?
My favorite word is probably yes, and my least favorite is no.
Okay.
And here's what's funny. Not even from a songwriting perspective, but just that's a great question because I've never ever got that. It swaps. Some days you want to be told yes, and some days you want to be told no, because no is the one that makes you work harder, and yes is the one that makes you work the least.
True.
So sometimes I love to be told no.
Like to fight.
Yeah. Unless you're really into a girl and like she doesn't want to go on a date, then that kind of sucks.
Well, then you fight for it. Yeah. No.
So it depends on what day of the week it is. They're both like either favorite or most unfavorite. But it always changes.